Hello everyone and welcome back to the Alström Heart series. In this episode, episode 5, we will be discussing research with Professor Rick Steeds and asking him what his priorities are going forward. You can also find lots more about research and publications which are available about Alström Syndrome on our website www.alstrom.org.uk.
Can you tell me what sort of research is going on at the moment? What key questions really you're trying to find out?
So right now, again, this is something I've talked to the international audience a little bit recently, is that we've been quite interested about the idea of senescence. So senescence is effectively aging, but your cells can age, and you have a system in your body called apoptosis, which actually is telling your cells that they've got to a certain age and they go through a programmed cell death. Actually, it can actually be even worse if actually that apoptosis doesn't tell cells to terminate, and if they carry on and get too old, then that's when things can also go wrong with the cells. One of the thoughts about what Alstrom does is it may be involved in regulating the cell cycle. So there's an interest about whether the Alstrom protein itself affects the turnover of cells, which was one of the first triggers for us to look at senescence. And we've done some very preliminary work looking at and published it, suggesting that in our cohort in the UK, people with Alström syndrome do age more quickly, or they seem to have physiological aging. So for those people who have the chance to see, you might line up 10 adults who are all the same age, and you go, oh, I would say he's had a hard paper round, but this means that he looks a bit older than his actual age. And I might say, oh, well, Anne looks much younger than her age. She looks fantastic for her 50 years. And I would say, well, she's aged very, very well. And so there's a difference that we accept, all of us accept, that there is a difference between how you appear and what your actual biological age is. And pheno age is a way of looking at your biological age rather than actually your chronological age. It's the difference between how your body is aging, and looking at the idea that maybe there's something about the Alstrom protein that means that people with Alström syndrome may be aging more quickly. And what our process is now is to really try to develop that into a bid for funding to go on to a bigger program of work over the next 3 to 5 years, where we look at whether that aging is an aging within that affects fat deposition and insulin metabolism, or whether that's aging that affects your immunity and your ability to respond to infections and inflammation. So that's what we as a group are interested in at the moment.
Okay, so that's kind of short-term future, would you say? 3 to 5 years, I suppose. Would you call that short-term?
Well, I guess it is. For me, it's probably intermediate term, because to get funding for 3 to 5 years is about 8 years' work. So yes, it is. In the longer term, of course, the ultimate aim is to find out exactly the pathophysiological problems that cause Alstrom people to often die early, and then to start to trial drug therapies that we think might extend people's lives. The drugs that we use, or the therapies that we use in Alstrom, in patients that I have with Alström syndrome who have cardiovascular abnormalities, the drugs that we use in everyday people who have heart abnormalities. And I believe they work. I don't have specific proof they work in Alström cardiomyopathy. What would be lovely in the longer term would be to develop treatments that are Alström specific to reverse those changes that we see in Alström syndrome.
Perfect.
Thank you again, Rick and Anne, for another fantastic session, really highlighting the research priorities moving forward. And in our next and final episode, we'll be looking at the key takeaways of this series and really looking at the top tips for you going forward. You can also find lots more information and our contact information on our website, www.alstrom.org.uk.